the majority of government debt is actually owned by
It is Tuesday. Tuesday is Decentralize Everything Day. My name is Matt. This is Why Libertarian. Last night, if you didn't check it, I was doing a little back and forth in terms of John Oliver's misunderstanding of the national debt here in the United States. Apparently, they took a little bit of issue with some of the clips that I ended up pulling out of his show, so I will have to go back and re-edit that. But if you do end up seeing it before I re-edit it, definitely check it out. It was pretty good, or at least I think it was. And gives you some good information on the economic side of kind of the liberty movement and argument and everything like that that's happening. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Tonight's going to be interesting. Tonight's going to be like a little different. It's going to be kind of like a tutorial. And I am not the most versed Hive user on the face of the planet. Obviously, I am new, so I am bringing everyone with me on this journey. And so I am going to walk you through kind of some of the things that I've been playing with on the Hive blockchain just to get started, just to get an account up, how to get it funded, and then also how to kind of like, sign in, manage your keys, like all the basic logistical things. So it's not going to be too like, sexy or anything like that, but, hopefully I have some of the Hive crew in the comments watching live too, so that when I inevitably screw up or leave something out, they can comment and keep me honest and make sure that I'm putting out as much of the good information as is possible. So I think we have Shadows Pub in the comments already, chatting it up in there and chatting it up with Snook, which is awesome. We're going to have some people that can kind of help me wade through these waters. A reminder, the shows we have coming up for the rest of the week. Tomorrow night, I have Nick Magner, who is part of the Liberty Movement here in New Jersey. He's running for Legislative District 4 for the Assembly. So I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's Wednesday night. Thursday, we will have our natural rights talk. Every single Thursday, we talk about natural rights. So we'll be talking about the hierarchy of law that goes along with that. And then Friday, we did have a show lined up, and we have some schedules that had to move around and things like that. So it's a little bit of a wild card. We'll see what comes up on Friday night, but should be interesting nonetheless. All right, so before I get started, the first thing I want to do is I am going to share the Hive Discord server link in the chat, and let me just make sure I'm getting the right information here. I want to share this for the public record and for everyone who is or will be end up watching this. If you get to that Discord, these people are absolutely fantastic. I mean, you want to talk about a community people that are like vested into getting this thing off the ground and making it successful. Ask questions, be active in the Discord chat. I certainly have not been nearly active enough, but these folks are absolutely fantastic. I mean, I put up my first post on the account I'm going to be using, not my throwaway account that I made my errors on, but on the first account that, I'm going to be using and posting on, and people just showed up in waves. Like, I mean, you'll see. I'll probably pull it up and show you, the upvotes and things like that. But that's, get into the Discord chat and ask questions. There's a general chat, help questions. Actually, I think I just saw one that went up recently on the social, hold on one second. I'm already screwing this up. The social campaigns channel. One of the most recent posts that are down there is Eurosol put up a Hive user guide, like a 101. It is very long. It's very in-depth. It's awesome. Explains a lot of that stuff. So we got Nathan Mars in the chat too. Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. I know you're one of the Hive faithful. So if I do misspeak, please help me out here. So, all right. So what I'm going to start with is I've already talked in previous episodes about what Hive is, all right? It's blockchain. It's a way of decentralizing. The things I'm going to be talking about first are social media. But obviously, there's tons of use cases that literally, rebuild the world on top of blockchain, and Hive being one of the blockchains that are out there. We are going to end up seeing the world be rebuilt on the blockchain in the future, near future, coming up here. So, this is one of the ways that you can diversify your social media presence and activity. And the best part about it is you actually get paid for your content and things like that. You don't have some, master like the big tech companies that are, earning money off of your back, right? Like the activity that you create, the content that you create, you are going to be able to capitalize on that yourself. And I will kind of show you a little bit about how that works. So I'm going to try and share my screen here if I pick the right one. All right. And let's see. So here we go. And all right. So we are getting a little mirror action before I pull over here. So this is basically the starter screen for Hive. So if you go to hive.io, this is like the home page, all right? The About section is the very first page. That's just some basic information. The ecosystem, this is basically where you're going to find all of the apps that are on the Hive blockchain, okay? I won't go too in-depth into all of these, but really quickly, Splinterlands, I interviewed Agrode. This is the, kind of like card-based, digital card-based game that you can play on the Hive blockchain. PeakD is what's called a front end. It's essentially a way of taking the information on the blockchain and just presenting it in a different way. You can think of it as the blockchain has different user interfaces. PeakD is one of those user interfaces. Same thing as eCency below it, all right? This blue one with the kind of like script E and C, that is eCency. That's another one that's kind of like a front end. Hive.blog is kind of like one of the base social media platforms on, that's the social media offering for the Hive blockchain. That is where you're going to see most of the people putting up, blog posts, tutorials. I know, Snook and Shadows Pub put up blogs that are about what they're doing, whether it's, creative writing, whether it's, books and publishing and coloring books and things like that. So you can think of it as essentially a blogging platform. 3Speak is the better alternative to YouTube that is out there. And we had the guys from 3Speak on or in an earlier episode, so you can definitely check that out in the playlist if you haven't already. I haven't messed around with Crypto Brewmaster at all or Rabona. D.Buzz is basically kind of like the equivalent of Twitter on the Hive blockchain. And I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else. Luxax is the poker, the card game app that's built on Hive. Full Alt, we talked with Snook about in terms of, the complement of services on there, such as like tipping services and things like that, that then you can do, bring the Hive blockchain to people on Web 2.0, right? Like the blockchain is Web 3.0. You can bring it to people on Web 2.0 by, tipping them and trying to get them an account, or if they do have an account, tip them for their stuff that they're doing on the traditional or the 2.0 web. D-Lease is something we won't talk a lot about immediately, but this is actually a way that you can get you'll have Hive crypto, you can actually lease it out to folks to use it. So if you're not personally using it, you can store it in your wallet and like basically lend it out, and you get, returns on it in terms of like an interest rate lending out your Hive. Probably the last two I'm going to highlight is Leo Finance. Leo Finance is kind of like an ecosystem that's built on top of the Hive blockchain that is about a ton of stuff. It's about crypto, it's about finance, it's about, a lot of decentralized finance, and they actually have, their own tokening system and things like that. I think a couple of these others do as well. So you can get Leo tokens, which is just kind of another version of crypto that you can use on their platform or convert back and forth to use elsewhere. And then NFT Showroom. I interviewed Crimson Clad a couple of weeks back, and we talked about kind of the basics of, witnesses and operating a node and things like that on the blockchain. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go back. That was a fantastic interview. NFT Showroom is something that she's involved in that's based off of essentially non-fungible tokens for digital art. So lose the mic. I might have lost the mic. So we might be, we'll be talking about NFTs in the NFT Showroom next week in terms of, what digital art is about and how you get a piece of digital art and what kind of, rights that bestows on you by purchasing that. All right, did I lose audio? Can you guys hear me? Oh, awesome. All right. So Nathan's telling me now he can hear me. All right. Fantastic. So I don't want to go off, rehash too much, but next Tuesday I'll have Crimson Clad on to talk about NFT Showroom and, that as a platform or as a application and a center for digital art and non-fungible tokens and how that, kind of that dynamic works back and forth. All right. So that's the ecosystem. All right. Here's the one thing I'm going to say. If you want to start an account on Hive, you can actually go to most all of these. And like if you want to go on Splinterlands and start playing the game, you can go on there and actually you create your account through Splinterlands, and then that Hive account you can then, link up with all the rest of these apps. So you don't have to create an account on, every single one of these for the Hive blockchain. You might have to create an account on each one of the apps, to basically unlock it and be able to use it. But the actual Hive account that you're going to create is going to be somewhat universal in terms of all of the apps that are out there. All right. So before we get into that, there's also wallets. So anyone who's even a little bit familiar with crypto, crypto has to be stored somewhere. And so it's basically a digital wallet that you end up storing your crypto in. Each one of these can be used as a digital wallet to, transact crypto and store it and look in on how much you have and whatnot. All right, so Hive Wallet, Ecency being a front end also has, access to the Hive Wallet. PeakD is the same. Keychain is actually an add-on to your browser that you can use to not just check in on your crypto, but also kind of sign in and out different places. We talked about Leo Finance, and then Hive Blog also gives you access to your wallet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click join. All right. And so folks might be screaming at me in terms of, just they might have their own preference in terms of ways to log in and get an account up and running. But the way that I actually started here was I actually went to Hive on, or no, I'm sorry. I didn't go to Hive on board. Where did I go the first go around? Did I go through PeakD? I might have gone through PeakD in order to activate my account. Hold on. The other way that you can do it is through the wallet. So let me do it through the wallet. So if I do through the wallet and I start off with, say, Hive Wallet here, this is actually Hive Wallet. The actual wallet itself is an app that you can download on your smartphone. You can also go through hive.blog, and as you can see, I'm already logged in here. All right, so I'm not going to necessarily log back out, but when you go through the creation process, it will actually give you like an option to be able to like start your own account. And I believe if you click in up here, it'll give you that ability to start your own profile and, start an account. The other way to do it is, and this was actually something that I did when I did my very first account, was I went through Blocktrades. So if I remember correctly, it's blocktrades.us/en/create-hive-account. All right. So you can always pause this video if you need that link, and I will actually throw this in as well to the chat. And Shadows Pub is telling me that Keychain is pretty versatile in terms of being able to do this as well. Very versatile, right? So you can do it through Keychain as well. But Blocktrades, this is the way that I started kind of like the account that I was like messing around with. So right here with Blocktrades, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I first started it, I was like, okay, I'm going to start a new account. I'm just going to like, type in my username here, and then I'm going to go through here and basically, as you can see, it already says my name's already taken, but you can put your new username in here. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go through and fund my account. And what happened was I didn't have a Blocktrades account yet. All right. So anyone who's unfamiliar with Blocktrades, this is basically an intermediary that allows you to quickly move digital currency back and forth. Okay. There's other options to use other ones that are out there too. I believe, like Binance is a one that a lot of people use in terms of being able to move currency back and forth. The reason why I had to use Blocktrades was because the main crypto account that I have is with Coinbase. It's more of a, it's pretty mainstream, but you can't buy and sell Hive on Coinbase. And so I had to go through this service as an intermediary in order to buy Hive to put and fund my account. All right. So that's why I had to do this. If you have Binance, you can actually go buy Hive and then transfer that Hive direct into your account. So that's why I did it this way. I think a lot of people that I know and follow me probably are the same. They don't necessarily have another crypto, exchange account. They probably are using Coinbase right now. And so this is what I had to do. So you end up putting your username in, but before you actually end up creating your account or anything like that, what I would go down here is I would actually go down to the very bottom and click sign up first. All right. And it's going to take you through the sign up process for not a Hive account. It's going to take you through the sign up process for a Blocktrades account to be able to move crypto back and forth and convert it into Hive. All right. So you're going to need an email address. You're going to need a password in order to create it, and then you're going to click submit. It'll go through that startup process, all right? Once you have that account, and actually I can sign in right now with my BlockTrades account, I believe. Yep, there you go. So I already have a BlockTrades account set up. And let's see, it tells me what my email address is that I used. You can go in here and change your profile and stuff like that, but that's not really completely crucial the first time you go to put your, initial deposit into Hive. So then what are you going to do? Well, you have to pick what you're going to be converting into Hive. All right. So it can be, it could be Ethereum, it can be Doge, it can be Dash, it can be Bitcoin. If you notice, if you're, there's a couple of folks out there online right now that are big proponents of BitShares in terms of being able to, generate small portions of crypto over time as rewards, so that you can actually go through BitShares and do this. I actually went and I used, if I remember, the Ethereum because the Bitcoin processing fees were really expensive. So I just used Ethereum. Obviously, if you have Hive somewhere else, you can import it just as Hive into your account. You can use Litecoin and a number of other ones, all right? So when I picked Ethereum, now you have to figure out, all right, how much Hive am I going to purchase? If you want to go one way, you can say, all right, if you're if you have one Ethereum, which I think is like $2,100 right now, you can convert that all into Hive if you want. I would not, have any problems if you did that, because obviously more of the Hive that's on the Hive blockchain, the better. But, a small amount is good to start off with just to toy around with. So, if you're using, I forget what a good exchange rate was, but like, yeah, if you're going to put in like, 0.01 Ethereum and buy, 22 or 30 Hive, that's probably good just to start and kind of like mess around with. What it's going to ask you is, all right, we're going to generate basically a address that we're going to go to, all right? Because I already have a Hive account set up, notice at the very top, it doesn't ask me what my username is going to be. If you don't have a Hive account set up yet, that's where it's going to be that little box that says, all right, what's your username going to be on Hive? And so you can put in your preferred username. It'll tell you whether or not it's available. It would actually pre-fill down here. If I put in my live username right now, and you click this get deposit address, all right, it's going to give you this basically key code that you're going to have to put into, I used Coinbase, you're going to have to send the appropriate amount of Ethereum from Coinbase to this code right here, all right? And so that deposit code is then going to sync up with the account that you've set up with BlockTrades, and then filter through and create your Hive account, all right? So I know that that's kind of like contrived. A lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with this process at first. It's not very straightforward. All right, let me take a second just to look through the comments. Shadows is saying you can also use Lonomi, Probit, Bittrex, among others. And Shadows Pub also said BlockTrades is the easiest for moving Hive around on the chain. It's the one I found that's the easiest because I can't buy Hive elsewhere and transfer it in a different way. So I would definitely agree with that. There's also free ways to sign up. That's true. So there's a couple of the other ones that you don't necessarily have to fund your account with. I would say if you want to participate on the blockchain, put a little bit in, right? You don't have to, but just put a couple of bucks in. It doesn't take a lot to get some Hive, because then you're also going to be able to practice some of the things that I'm going to do here in a couple of minutes. Snook saying do 35 to 50. That's a good thought process there. Shadow said 75. I think they're bidding back and forth here. Let's see. You can use my name, The Hive, to send delegations to. So you can explain. I am not good on delegations. So delegations, I believe, are for voting witnesses or approving witnesses, right? I'm not sure on delegations yet, so I'll have to cover that at a later date, but we can definitely keep that in mind. All right. And Shadows Pub is saying, good luck on that, Jan. All right. So once you fund this, it's going to take, here's the other thing. If you're someone who likes immediate gratification. Some of these processes are not going to be like a snap of a finger, okay? The blockchain, especially when you're going through like an intermediary and stuff like that, sometimes it takes time to process and proof the actual transaction, all right? So it's not going to be like, milliseconds like we're used to, all right? But don't worry, you're going to a better place. So be patient, take your time, all right? When you go through and you put this transaction through, I'm going to tell you these are the two biggest things you have to pay attention to. These are the two things that you can screw up royally in any blockchain environment, okay? When you go to send this crypto to this address, all right, make sure that you copy the address to the digit. Because when you send it and you send it to an address, if you send it to the wrong one, it's potentially gone forever, all right? So you have to make sure you're sending it to the correct address. The other thing that you have to remember is this process is going to generate keys, all right? Keys are essentially just long passwords, and on the Hive blockchain, there's a handful of them. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either create like a password protected Word document or word processing document or Notepad document, depending on what system you're using, on your desktop, or you can hide it away, okay, in order to keep those keys. Because once they get generated, some of the keys, like your main password, you're not going to be able to recover again. And if you can't, and then you fund your account and then forget that password, it's potentially gone as well. You might be able to recover it based off of a couple of things that you can do through the Hive blockchain and through the support team that's the community that's here. But in most cases in the blockchain world, you need to hold on to your keys very closely and make sure you know where they are. Because if you lose them, then you could potentially, basically just write your entire account off, which is scary. All right. So that's the two big things. Make sure where your crypto is going is the correct place. And then the second one is make sure to protect your keys and your passwords and, everything like that. All right. So that will fund your account. All right. Because I'm already logged in and I already have an account, I'm pretty sure the next step that I had was I went on to hive.blog and my account was there, but it gave me my keys. All right. So that being said, that's where you're going to end up, getting your keys and then copying and pasting them somewhere to keep them. All right. So if I go on the ecosystem and I go to hive.blog now, I'm already logged in, all right? You're probably not going to see this the first time that you log in, all right? What you're probably going to see, you might see some of the posts and things like that. You won't have anything up here in the top right-hand corner because your profile is brand new. So you can't, there's not going to be a picture or anything like that. So probably your first step is you're going to want to come up here to your profile. It's going to take a couple of minutes for your profile to be like official, okay? So don't be concerned if, you go up here onto your profile and say you pull up your profile and you're not going to have any blog posts or anything like that, all right? If you go to settings up here, these are like my, these are my settings in terms of my picture and whatnot that I put up here to load into my profile, all right? All of this is going to be blank. So you can come in here when you first get your account set up and fill these things out, right? You can have a picture that's posted on a URL somewhere that's hosted, so you can give that URL, or you can click this upload an image link and upload it from your computer like you would upload anywhere else. The same thing with your cover image that sits here in the back. And obviously I need to come up with a better one because a lot of the font here is white and it doesn't show up well on the white background. So that's probably not very, not a huge deal. If you do have like an avatar or something like that you want to put up as your profile picture, that's this little kind of picture at the top and the one that shows up here in the top right-hand corner. I would definitely say that you should do that. Again, if it doesn't load immediately, don't be afraid, don't worry about it, okay? It might give you an error or something like that at first. After a couple of minutes, your profile will be active and you'll be able to do it. So don't be afraid to kind of like, let it sit for a couple of minutes and then come back to it, all right, and do it. Let's see. Let's see. Delegations are a loan to someone. Oh, so Snook is telling me that the Hive is trying to get your loans from them or from you. So don't do that. Let's see. Helping to boost a user's Hive power is what delegations are used for. Okay, so it gives them kind of like more upvote authority and stuff like that. And we'll cover that. And Snook is basically saying that, yeah, your account can be gone if you lose your keys and things like that. That is imperative. And yes, there is a downloadable PDF for your keys that when you do create your account going through that block trades path, it will end up generating your keys and a downloadable like form that you can download onto your desktop or wherever. All right. All right. Let me take a deep breath. I need to take a little sip because I've been talking a lot. All right. You can put in obviously information in here as far as like website, and if you want to stay completely anonymous, you don't have to put very much at all in here, just an avatar and like, what you want your display name to look like on the blockchain. All right. Some things I would say in terms of preferences, obviously language. If English is your language, fantastic. If not, you can pick a different one. The other thing that's going to ask you for is things like, not safe for work content. Always hide, always warn, always show. All right. So you get to pick whether or not you want to hide that stuff. If it's marked as not safe for work or whatever, it's always going to hide it. You don't even have to worry about potentially seeing something that you don't want to see, or someone who's looking over your shoulder, right? So that's a good thing to check as far as whether or not you want that, kind of filtered. I don't really understand the referral system yet, so we can definitely hit on that in the near future. What I would look at is blog post rewards and then comment post rewards. So these are the rewards that you get from people interacting on the blockchain with your blog posts and also when you comment on something, all right? And so when they interact with your posts and your comments, you can get rewarded with either Hive Power, all right, or Hive-backed dollars, all right? And I'll try and explain the difference. I'm not 100% familiar with the Hive-backed dollar completely, but just understand that you can play with this percentage, all right? Declining the payout, I believe, puts it back into the pool, right? I wouldn't necessarily say that unless, like a lot of developers and stuff like that want to build the pool of Hive that's out there, and so they decline the payout and don't necessarily take it into their account, okay? I would say at least do the 50-50, right? That's a good place to start. If you don't know the difference and you don't have a preference or anything like that, I would say at least do the 50-50. You can do the power up, which would mean you don't get any Hive back dollars. It's basically all going into your Hive power, all right? Which, if you're completely new to Hive, you're probably saying, what? But trust me, if a good default is probably the 50-50, all right? I think that's everything in terms of the settings. All right, once you have your account and you upload your profile photo and your avatar and your display name, all right, the next thing I would say is you're going to check your wallet because your wallet should be funded with any of the crypto that you sent, all right? So here's the one thing I have to remind myself of. I am not going to click on the keys and permissions tab right here, okay? Because that will show you all my other keys are kind of blocked out. I believe the very top key is like the activity key or whatever. That would show you one of my keys, and I am not about to do that, all right? That's another thing. Keep your keys safe because you don't want to lose your account. You also don't want other people to get them, all right? Your keys are a way that someone can basically hack your account, okay? So keys and permissions. That is something that you're going to go to check if, say, at one point you didn't copy your keys, like you didn't get the full PDF or you forgot where you put it or something like that. That's going to be a place where you can see the different types of keys for activities and posting. There's also a master key on there, all right? So you're going to be able to check on that and take copies of that off. All right, now, balances. Before I talk about balances, delegations is what the Hive was telling you. I guess the Hive's name is Jan. I've not been introduced to Jan yet. So So let's see. Snook said she has declined payment when writing letters to bad people. All right, that's good. But yeah, so the delegations, that's, giving your hive power essentially to other people so that they can wield it, so to speak, right? So they can use it to upvote things and make them, better rewarded in terms of what they're going to get from crypto, all right? You can change your password to get into your account, and then also the communities tab if you want to create a community specific for something, okay? Hive is very good about building communities for various types of subjects, activities, whatever, okay? Myself and a couple of friends are building or attempting to build a Liberty community on the Hive blockchain. So it's just named Liberty, all right? There's another one that's called Liberty and Freedom I'm also a part of because the people that are building that are, simpatico with us, all right? We're just kind of like teaming up, all right? I don't know if that necessarily waters it down, but it's definitely, we'll continue to try and build both, if that makes sense, all right? But you can create your own community. It does take Hive. I forget how many. It's like 3 or 5 Hive or something like that. But so you do have to spend a little bit of crypto in order to create a community. A community is basically a tag that goes on to posts, and you can post to that community so that when someone is following that tag or that community, they're basically following all of the stuff that other people have posted that say, all right, this relates back to this community or subject matter, and that's what you can, basically filter your results for, all right? Let's talk about balances. All right, so Hive is the main crypto that's being used on this blockchain, all right? So Hive in and of itself is something that you can, tip people with and hold on to in terms of like a store of value, all right? The Hive power, or powering up your Hive, is a way of gaining authority on the blockchain. So when you take your Hive and convert it into Hive power or power it up, all right, you're basically, first you're locking it in. So when you power up your Hive, it's not like just like tomorrow I can just be like, oh, I put too much there, I want to put all the rest back, okay? That's not the way it works. Once you put it there, there's basically a power down sequence. So if, I were to take some of this Hive and try and power it down, there is a period of time of, and I forget what the period of time is, help me in the chat. I think it also just changed, but I believe the power down period is what, like 30 days or something like that? And so Jan saying the Hive power provides resource credits. Those are what permit the actions on the blockchain. And then how many resource credits you have depends on how much Hive power you have, right? And the idea being that once you convert something into Hive power, you can then, have a little bit more, activity that you can give, or you can upvote things stronger, basically have more authority, okay? Hive power takes 13 weeks to power down. So if you put Hive into Hive power, all right, and you want to take some out, it's going to take 13 weeks for it to turn back into Hive before you can take it out of your account, all right? You have to be dedicated to this. This can't be something where it's just like, I'm going to throw the stuff in and then just, take it back and run, all right? The good news is you don't have to start with a lot. Like you just put a couple, powered up, and then, let it be the authority that you have to, upvote and play around with stuff. And like was said before, you can start an account for free and kind of like toy around with this too if you don't want to fund it just yet, all right? The good news is that if, someone does get your keys or something like that and they want to take your Hive and it's powered up, it would take them 13 weeks of you not noticing that they request to power down your Hive in order to try and get it into regular Hive in order to convert, transfer it out of your account into something else like fiat or Bitcoin or something like that, right? So there is some protection built in there. Actually, it's a lot of protection. All right. You do get rewarded also for your Hive sitting as Hive power, right? So you basically get an APR of approximately just over 3%, subject to there's a little bit of variance on the blockchain in terms of whether that 3.18 is a little less, a little more, but that's basically an average. Okay, so you're not just like not getting anything. So it is sitting there and actually accruing some level of value, and hopefully you're using it to go out and upvote things and interact with the community and post things. All right. Hive dollars. So my understanding here is Hive dollars is basically a way of taking Hive and pegging it to a dollar. All right. Meaning that this is kind of a store of more kind of like a translatable kind of like fiat value of your Hive. Okay. The Hive dollars is something that you can like get a payout. Like I said before, you could do like 50-50 on your posts, where some of it goes into Hive power, which gives you more authority, and half of it goes into Hive dollars, which is something that, again, you can, take with you. You can tip people with it. So, that is also another form of, is there something else I'm forgetting with the Hive dollars that you can use it for? Let me see here. Shadow said, yeah, that's the goal with Hive back dollars, is to get, an equivalent amount of Hive equal to $1. So like when you have $1 of Hive back dollars, it should be equivalent to $1 US, right? And so that will fluctuate a little bit over time based off of the value of Hive, okay? But that being said, the Hive back dollars is another form of basically crypto that you can use to kind of interact on the blockchain, all right? So, like I said, tip or things like that, all right? So, savings. So you can put Hive into this basically savings account, all right? As I understand it, if your Hive is sitting here just as Hive, it's not really earning you anything. When you put it into the Hive savings account, it's not giving you any authority because it's not powered up. But what it is still giving you is basically a little return on your money, that 3%. And again, that has to do with a little bit of variability. And that interest rate is variable based off of the voting by the witnesses on the blockchain, all right? But so you can, and I believe you can put your Hive back dollars into here as well and earn that 3% return. So now what happens here is you can't necessarily take out your savings immediately. Now, it's much less time, wait time, than, I believe it's 3 days, and I could be wrong. Again, correct me in the chat. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But if you put Hive back dollars or Hive into the savings, okay, that has to sit there for at least 3 days once someone tries to initiate a transfer back out of the savings. And again, that's also a really good protection, because if you log in like tomorrow and you find out someone got your keys and they're trying to take your Hive or Hive back dollars that are in savings and try and transfer them out, you'll see a print on the blockchain on block trades, and we'll do this at a later time, but you'll see a requested transaction to try and move that out of the savings, and then you're keyed in to be like, oh crap, someone got in, some nefarious stuff is happening, all right? So, and this is a way for your Hive and Hive back dollars to make APR while it's sitting here versus, if it's just sitting in Hive, not necessarily making you very much. All right. Hopefully I explained that correctly. Let me look. Savings is more protected as well than just sitting in the wallet. Let's see. 3 days is correct as far as the savings. So when you do request it to be transferred back out into Hive, it is a 3-day wait. All right. So that is most everything on the wallet that I can think of right now. There's other things that we can look at in terms of like your rewards. You can get curation and author rewards for your activity and whatnot. All right. I'm not necessarily going to go through that just yet. Now, if you click on blog, this is going to take you to your posts on hive.blog. All right. Hive.blog is essentially the main blogging platform for the Hive blockchain. If you can see, I've gotten one post up here, and the community's been absolutely fantastic. I put it up and tons of people upvoted it and stuff like that. This is the first post that I've put up. When I let Guilty know about it, Guilty Parties came back to me and was like, don't post too often, because it's better for curation, and the general impact is, as opposed to like posting a bunch of small things, if you have like a theme of a bunch of things that you want to post them in one post, all right, and make them cohesive and go together, because it's actually better off if you have one good post than, like, 4 or 5 really small, kind of like lukewarm ones. All right, you're probably going to get a better return on that that one post or that one piece of content. All right, something that I went over, and really quickly I got a response. Sorry. Okay, so when the post goes up on Hive, the other thing to remember is when you're posting on hive.blog, it will be saved with the other front ends that are out there. Okay? So the other front ends, and we'll do this at a later date when we go through each one of them, but like when you look on PeakD, if you posted on hive.blog and then you go to PeakD and you're signed in as you on PeakD, it will show your blog, okay? It's because your blog is getting imprinted on the blockchain, all right? It's then a part of the block, and then the other front ends are just pulling from the block. So it's there. The other front ends will pull what you've posted on the block. So if you then go like repost somewhere else. So for instance, I posted this and I started up on d.buzz, which is like the Twitter equivalent. It already had, now it was cut down because d.buzz has a character limitation like Twitter does, but it showed the first portion of it. So if someone is just on d.buzz and they're looking through posts and they look and they see like the first 2 or 3 lines, they can click through and see and expand and see the full post. All right. So you don't necessarily have to go through and replicate things kind of the way that you have to do on Web 2.0, where, you have to post on Facebook and then you have to post on Twitter and then you have to post on, Instagram. And it is much more succinct because those front ends aren't all like these kind of like standalone that don't necessarily talk with each other. Okay. The front ends on the blockchain look to the blockchain and then draw that content or that data out for you to view it. And then you just get to choose how you want to view that stuff. So when you're posting, you don't have to put tons of stuff out there. All right. So thank you, Guilty. I don't know if you're watching, but I appreciate that feedback on there. Let me see. All right. So I want to pull this up because you're going to see. So this is like a little trick also as far as putting content up and kind of getting, I guess, more bang for your buck, or like not putting out tons of additional posts. All right. I didn't post this. I don't know how to live cast to ThreeSpeak, if it is even possible just yet. I might have to deal with some different streaming software in order to do that. But so what I did do is I created a short little blog post and I included the link and embedded the link for this live cast on YouTube. All right. So if you notice, what I've done is I basically created just a little bit of text. This obviously isn't lengthy, okay? And then I included the link and it pulled through the actual YouTube embedded video into here, all right? And so you can do that if, say, you're going to do something on ThreeSpeak and then, want to put it in a blog or something like that, or you want to do something on Web 2.0 and pull it into one of these blog posts. So when I was talking to ShadowsPub, ShadowsPub will, do a blog and then probably include content, whether it's, books that are being published that relate back, on her website, books that are being published that relate to this piece of content. You can pull that in and embed it in the blog post. All right. This is it's like a pure blogging platform where you can write short form blogs or you can write long form blogs. If you write the long form ones, you can put tons of stuff in there, right? Like you can put, and remember, like if you want someone to take a certain action at the end of the blog post, like go through to the website, that should be what you're trying to target to put in there, right? And you can include like a traditional blog, pictures, video and emoticons and stuff like that, and emojis. You can put those in here when you post. So the last thing I want to cover, and again, this is really kind of like thick, so I want to make sure that I'm not putting too much. But if we want to go to, so this is, now you remember when I was looking at my account and I pulled up my profile, it showed like my blog posts and everything like that. These are all the posts that are, I guess, trending or based off of how things are filtered for me, because I have a couple of communities, like I said, the Liberty community and the Liberty and Freedom community. These things they're kind of curated, but not the way that YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or like any of the other platforms curate, okay? They curate based off of, trying to make you spend the most amount of time on this platform possible, all right? Or on their platform, okay? The goal is, like, if you spend a lot of time on this platform, it's because you're being, interacting with, content and people that you're interested in, right? And is rewarding to you, okay? Not mindless crap, all right? So you'll see that when you're presented with these things, a lot of this is dictated based off of what you have said that you want to follow. Communities, subjects, activities, people that you follow on the blockchain, okay? This is like what Facebook was originally supposed to be like until they got completely overrun by advertising dollars, all right? So, and they started selling your private data. But anyway, so these are the top posts right now based off of, what's kind of like high flying at the moment, and, what I've communicated in terms of what I'm following. And what I'm following isn't a lot, so that's why, your filter will probably be better. And again, I'm looking at trending right now. I can look at what's hot, like basically what has a lot of momentum behind it. I can look at, what's brand new in terms of new posts recently. If you'll also notice, there is a very wide range of languages and subject matter and things like that are coming up. This is a global community, okay? When you start interacting with this, you're probably going to find that you're like your how should I put it? Your world is going to expand. Okay, I've already begun to notice it in the few couple of times that I've logged on and looked through the posts and things like that. You're going to experience things that you didn't have the opportunity to experience before, because traditional social media platforms wanted you like focused in on a small set of things and essentially zoned in. Okay, this is different. This will open your worldview a lot. All right. You can search by payouts. So I believe this is motivated by, who's getting big upvotes and, a lot of momentum probably based off of it, and a lot of activity too. So I'm not sure, and help me in the chat, if I post something with a lot of comments and activity, does that help the payout on the overall post? I think it does, but just let me know in the chat if that's correct. Let me see here. So while we're waiting on that, again, you can look through trending. You can also look through muted. So you can mute, things that, or some of these might have been muted by like, the community as well. And you'll notice things like, spam noted and stuff like that, which is fantastic because, again, this is decentralized. It's community driven in terms of, how it's, I hate using this word, but the way it's kind of like policed or proctored, okay? All right, so you can look in trending. You can look in, your communities. These are my buddies. This is Nick, who I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow night. He's We Lost Liberty on Hive, and then Mike Rufo, who I might still have on Friday night. We'll see. But Mike Rufo is another, founder of this community. And then also, if I look on the Liberty and Freedom community, it's going to show, whatever's trending. Or let me see if I put hot and that. Yeah, so there's not a ton of activity in either one of these two communities because we're just starting to build them. All right. But the goal being that when you find stuff that you like, you're going to want to upvote it. Now, here's the other thing to remember. When you have powered up Hive, you have the ability to have a little bit of influence in terms of upvoting something. Okay. But you have, and I believe it's called resource credits. Before I go there, let's see. Shadows Pub is saying Google Translate is your friend on Hive. Yes, it is. You're going to see a lot of languages you're not familiar with, but there's a lot of great content that come from people that don't speak the same language as you. Let's see. Don't beg for votes. It's a big one. Big turnoff. Let your content speak for itself. Let me see. Guilty says, no, it doesn't. The post evaluation is not related to the number of comments. All right. So it's not related to the number of comments. That being said, you can get rewarded for commenting and then have other people like upvoting your comment. So like, I believe you can add value, through the commenting and the interaction with the post and get rewarded for that. And Jan saying, how many votes at what Hive Power determine the rewards? All right. So the idea being that the more upvotes that you get from people with higher amounts of Hive Power, that's what's going to determine how good the rewards are that you're going to get for various posts that you put out there. All right. This is going to make more sense as I go along and the language of the blockchain becomes more commonplace for folks that might watch this, that this is, completely foreign to. All right. But so just, you can always rewind the video if you're not comfortable with, some of this. So let me go really quickly through two last things. All right. So say this post that is about the vaccine passport and Big Brother surveillance. Boo. I want to upvote it, right? So I'm going to come here if I have resource credits, meaning I have Hive Power, and then I have resource credits that allow me to take a certain amount of activity, right? If my resource credits, I still have some left, I can upvote this, and it's going to ask me, how much of a percentage of my resource credits I want to give. So if I want to upvote this, hopefully I have some left because I was pretty active just before I came on. But say I want to give like 11% resource credit and I hit the upvote, right? So there you go. I just upvoted with 11% resource credit. I'm not sure it really moved the bar very much. I might not have much left. And this was also posted 3 days ago. I believe, is it 1 week or 4 days that a post is earnable on? Please let me know in the chat if that's correct. But let me see. Snook is saying if you give a person a comment, a person's comment an upvote, they make that in Hive. So yes, you will be rewarded for commenting and someone upvoting your comment by adding to the discussion or adding to the content and whatnot. All right, 7 days, 1 week. That's basically the amount of time that you can earn on a post. Why? Well, the blockchain does not get the community on the blockchain isn't helped. It's helped by a post that is evergreen and stays there. It stays on the blockchain forever. Okay. But the goal being that new content should be made so that, you can continue to earn on new content. And also that content needs to be, of decent value to people for them to upvote it. They're just not going to upvote crap. All right. So that being the goal, right? Like, while you can earn on something, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to earn indefinitely on something. All right. The good news is that, like traditional, 2.0, Web 2.0 social media, people can reblog it. They can, basically quote blog it, or I'm sorry, Snook, I forget the parlance, but through full alt, you can then like quote blog it or comment blog it, where you reblog with a comment on it in order to kind of add some value to that content and also kind of capitalize on it yourself. All right. So that's upvoting. All right. Now, the last thing I want to show really quickly before the end here is if I click the little pencil icon here in the top right-hand corner on hive.blog, that gives me the ability to create a new blog. All right. It can be whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what your first blog article, your first blog post should be. Okay. It can be anything you want. All right. I'm just going to use, hi, this is my first post. All right. I wouldn't say that should necessarily be your first post, but, hi, I'm new here. Great to be a part of the community. Okay, so you're going to put in your title, you're going to put in your content. It does give you the ability to put in things like hyperlinks and whatnot to add in. insert images by dragging and dropping or pasting from the clipboard. You can also click this link to select an item. So if I want to throw in a picture or an image, I can throw that in. It will give you basically some script in terms of, you know, where it's pulling that picture from. Know that once you post it, it won't show the script, it will show the picture. So this is like your preview window on the right hand side of what it looks like. All right. Anyone who's used to traditional blogging, the reason why is because you can put some funky stuff in here too if you know script, I believe. So, you know, but just know that how it's going to come out is going to be the right hand side. The left hand side is what you're inputting. All right. And then at the end, you can just, you know, put like a thank you, a link to something like this video or whatever. All right. You can put a post summary. So this is essentially a shortened, you know, summary, 140 characters of what this is. The way to think about this is in terms of like SEO, so search engine optimization. The idea being that if if you've ever built a web page, or even if you've done blogging in the past, the way that search engines crawl the internet is they're going to try and pull something that is a snippet of the content. This gives the search engine 140 characters or less to give it a good sense of what's included in the content. Okay, so create a, you know, summary of your post that is succinct, but it's also substantive. It's going to let the search engine know what's in it. You can put tags here, so you can tag based off of subjects. You know, if I'm writing this in the Liberty community, I'm going to write Liberty, and I believe it's separated by spaces and not commas. This is something that might not be ubiquitous with the other apps, so we'll have to go through those. But, you know, I believe it was maybe D.Buzz where you're actually separating by comma, or maybe it was 3Speak. I could be wrong. But so just make sure to pay attention. A lot of these apps are built with instructions, so it'll tell you where you fudged up. All right. So if I can put it in Liberty, I can put it in hello. I can put it in, you know, maybe it's like first post. Actually, that's 2 words, so it's probably not going to work. Maybe 1 word, first post. But it'll tell you, use only lowercase letters, digits, and 1 dash. All right. So I put in an equal sign, so it told me I did the wrong thing. All right. And then the last thing is, I guess you can attribute this to another author. If you're maybe, you know, shadow posting or ghost posting or something like that, but it defaults to who you are as the account and the poster. All right. And then the last thing is just going to be, you can look at these advanced settings. I forget what's in here. Volume of maximum payout this post will receive. You can limit it. There can be no limit. You can decline the payout completely, or you can, you know, put a custom value. So if you do want to cap it at just a certain amount, and then I guess maybe have the rest go back into the pool or just not pull from the pool, then you can cap what you make, right? But if you're starting off, you're brand new, don't even mess with it. Just keep the no limit on there. And then again, you know, your default is 50-50 in terms of Hive back dollars and Hive power that you get rewarded. You can change that here. You can also delegate who's going to end up getting rewarded from this. So if it's something that you did in a collaborative fashion, you can delegate some of the rewards from the post to someone else. Or if maybe you're just being charitable, I'm sure Jan, the Hive, would like you to delegate some of those rewards. And then the last thing is manage your post templates. So you can save post templates. So if there's a common, you know, post structure or, you know, kind of design that you like to use, you can save that as a post template. But, you know, once you make those changes, you can then click save, and that will change those advanced settings. And then the last thing is click post. And the posting I found is pretty quick. Some of the other transactions can, like I said, take a little bit of time. So have patience. So especially when your account is brand new and you're setting it up, don't expect everything to function immediately, because there's some stuff that has to be done on the back end to make sure that the blockchain is updated with your information, your profile is active, and everything like that. All right. So let's see. Did I miss anything? I will ask the audience here. Did I miss anything? This takes you through getting set up, funding your account, getting the account, getting your keys, getting your password, okay? There's a couple of other things I didn't go through. There's ways to, essentially, if I hit post on there, and I'll show you this in the future, you'll have to sometimes have a key to be active, right? To post or do an activity on the blockchain. It will ask you to authenticate who you are. You will have to have those keys available, or there are other options. So basically, the keychain is an option, or Hive Signer is an option to be able to authenticate who you are, and as opposed to copying and paste your keys all the time. For instance, Hive Signer almost works like any other kind of like password vault that you might have on your web browser, that you can just put in one password and it stores your keys, so that when it asks for your activity key or your posting key or whatever, it has all of those stored. You just have to remember one password, as opposed to continuing to go back to your file or whatever and copy and paste. All right. So we'll look at that at a future date, but that is a possibility on the blockchain, so that you're not having to go through a cumbersome process to be active on the blockchain. All right. So let's see. He's doing a hello world post. I'm not actually putting it out there, okay? And I will not pander for upvotes on my hello world post. All right. Snook is saying, very good point here. Your first post should have a tag as introduce yourself, okay? So that's something that you can put out there, especially if you don't know what to post who you are, what you're about, what your interests are, things like that, introductory information, and you can tag introduce yourself on there. Shadows Pub said, if you're not using your own images, make sure they're public domain images, not just taken from anywhere. So very good point. Make sure that these are public use. So, search engines have filters in their image searches that will allow you to figure out if something is authorized for public use without, changing it, or, maybe sometimes you have to make a change to it to be able to use it. Definitely know where you're sourcing those images from, so that you're not just pulling from anywhere and then you run afoul of, copyright or something like that. All right. So really good information. All right. I've gone an hour. That's like an intensive amount of information for an hour. Remember, I will be live tomorrow night with Nick Magner. Thursday night, I will be live with Natural Rights Talk. And then Friday night, it's kind of up in the air. We'll figure it out. And then next Tuesday, definitely tune in, because Crimson Cloud's going to be on. We're going to be talking about non-fungible tokens and digital artwork and all of that, like, wild west of awesomeness that's going on right now that I still can't wrap my head around. So we're going to try and figure it out. All right. That's it. It's 8 p.m. here on the East Coast, and I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Thank you so much to the Hive crew for adding your comments and your pointers and everything like that, so that I did not run afoul and give anyone bad information. So thank you so much for taking your time. Again, the Hive community is absolutely fantastic. These people care about the community, they care about each other, and they love building partnerships and relationships and things like that to help each other out. So this is a perfect example of that, and so I want to say thank you so much for taking part. And Nathan saying thank you, bro. And Snook saying great job. I was afraid. I told Snook I was afraid I was gonna, was it Snook or Shadows Pub? I was saying I was gonna screw stuff up and not get anything right. So I'm glad that this went as well as it did. And Nathan saying looking forward to next Tuesday. Should be fun to talk about digital art next Tuesday. So with that, everyone have a good evening. I appreciate it, and I will see everyone tomorrow. There are so many reasons to decentralize, whether it's lack of control over your own data, platforms where you are the product and get paid little to no money, or censorship and government oversight into your personal communications. That's why I'm taking a journey to decentralize my social media as well as my life. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out the Decentralize Everything playlist on this channel. Whether you're curious, or looking to decentralize too, I would love your company as I make a move to break free, take control, and decentralize everything.